BBC Radio Wales.
Bron with you here on BBC Radio Wales, and I'm so excited for my next guest. ANGHARAD is a brilliant singer-songwriter who some people may know as the violinist from Welsh folk supergroup Calan. But she's now making music as a solo artist, and it's incredibly personal and powerful stuff, and she's here now to tell us all about it. Hi, ANGHARAD.
Hello, Bronwen.
How are you?
I'm really good. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to have you. You were top of my list for a guest. Because I just know, well, we get on. We've met before. We've worked together before. And yeah, you met me when I was like just starting out as a little, trying to play my folk music. And I remember looking up to you, obviously in Calan and things.
Well, I was just thinking, before coming today, I was thinking, when did I first meet Bronwen? Because our paths have crossed so often.
Yeah.
And it was down in Pembrokeshire in Angle.
Yeah.
My mum was walking the Pembrokeshire coastal path at the time with her harp on her back.
As you do.
And she was staying in the pub in Angle in Pembrokeshire, and I went down to meet her, and I took my fiddle, and we had a lovely evening playing music. And in the bar, the other side of the bar, there was this lovely young girl who started singing. I was like, wow, she's got an amazing voice. And it was you.
What are the chances, eh? To be fair, you throw a stone and there's like a pub in Wales, Bron's guaranteed in there, giving someone a tune. That's my favourite thing in the world. But yeah, we've stayed in touch over the years. But I mentioned you've got new music, and I've been following you closely when you've been releasing this new stuff, and it's so different for you. And I know that's because you've come obviously from a folk background with Calan, and it's just really different, and I love it. I'm so proud of you for just creating something, a totally different, unique sound for yourself. And so can you tell me a bit about the new tracks and sort of how they came about?
Well, I can't believe I'm sat here, to be honest, talking about this stuff. So, before having children, I played almost exclusively instrumental music on the violin or the fiddle. That was my main instrument, and I'd play traditional music. I would compose, but it was always melodies, never words, and I would never sing. But when I gave birth to my daughter in 2019, I soon realised that the only way to communicate with a baby is to sing. Like, newborns do not respond well to spoken word. So, I'd start singing, and, after a while, I got a bit bored of the same old nursery rhymes and lullabies.
Baby Shark.
Yes. Oh, gosh. And then, but the more I sang, the more confident I got in my singing voice. And I realised then, I should have known this anyway, I am a musician, but the voice is just like an instrument. The more you use it, the more you practice it, the better you get. And I was becoming more confident in my singing. The repertoire was still a bit dull, but, over time, the songs became a bit more sophisticated, and I started writing songs not just to entertain and to soothe my baby, but to entertain myself, because I did find it really difficult in the first few months, well, the first year really of motherhood. So I would just sing, and people, it was sort of lockdown during this time as well, but I just go out on walks and I'd be singing. People would see me thinking, who is this girl, But and I couldn't play my instrument, because you're having to hold a baby all the time. I couldn't
swap it for a violin.
I couldn't swap it for a violin, So all I had basically was my phone and my voice notes, and I would just record all these little snippets over time, and then wait for a moment when my baby was asleep to sort of piece them together. But it was all, just finding my voice, literally my singing voice, and then words and stories that needed to be told. And I realised that, the experience of mothers in popular music is just very rarely heard, And I'm at this stage in my life, even though I've been brought up with all sorts of music, folk music, a lot through my mother, but I had a lot of more pop and rock and stuff through my dad. When we get to this age, I still like pop and rock music, but who's like speaking my story, And I'm not unusual. There's loads of mothers out there,
But it's almost not catered to
No,
you.
it's 'cause
and
it's-
it's not
yeah.
your story. That's just really hard to connect with something that doesn't, speak to what you're going through at
Yeah.
the time. So how important is it for you to sort of write about what's actually happening in your life? Does it come
Yeah.
naturally?
Well, I find it incredibly cathartic, to be honest. I've been sort of listening to loads of podcasts now about songwriting, and so many people talk about the therapeutic sort of nature of songwriting. I don't know if you can relate to that.
Totally.
You can sort of get
I'd need a lot
lost.
more therapist hours, definitely, if I didn't write songs.
Yeah, exactly. And it's cheaper,
Yeah.
You just
Cheaper than therapy, I love it.
It's cheaper than therapy. And it just, I can while away so the hours, basically. I can get into my little head and the flow and just sort of write these songs. And, I did it. I never intended to release them properly, but after a while, I'd send these little sketches to my friend Ethan Williams, who's a brilliant multi-instrumentalist and producer. So they started to come to life then when he was adding the drums and the bass and things like that, and then I started to think, actually, I think these are quite good, There's something here. And because it was lockdown, I'd lost my grandmother as well during lockdown, not due to COVID. She was 91, and I had a little bit of inheritance. And I thought, life at the time was so uncertain and fragile, and we didn't know what was it. So I just thought, if I can just use this little bit of inheritance to record it, and even if it's just something for my children to have.
Or just for you, isn't it?
For me.
Yes, and a self-expression. And I bet you feel like your new type of music is like escapism for you? Because being a mum is so demanding, isn't it? There's little ones that just want your attention constantly. And I bet going into a recording studio is just, like you said, cathartic, but also a bit of time just to focus on you.
Yeah, me time.
Yeah.
I'm just being a bit selfish. I feel it's
No, it's not selfish.
What makes me feel less selfish is when I'm now releasing it and all these mothers are going, wow, thank you so much for validating these feelings,
Yeah.
That's what really is driving me now and giving me so much energy, to do.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about sort of like the female perspective, aren't you? And it's so important to, as women, as well as Welsh women as well, to hear someone coming from that perspective. And we are going to hear an example of one of your new songs. And when this came out, I was like, this is awesome. It's like, you can dance around to this. It's called Because I Am a Woman. And how did this song come about? How did you write this?
Well, when I told a few people that I was expecting, I, as well as having, lots of lovely reactions from friends and family, quite a few people in the music industry questioned my ambitions, and they presumed that I would maybe give up on my career as for wanting to have children. You're unambitious for wanting to have children. And that angered me a lot. So once I'd calmed down, I channeled it all into this song just to say that yes, we can do this, we can be mothers and we can have careers, given that we just need the chance, and we need a few changes in society, which we're heading in the right direction. So it's for any woman who wants to be a good mother and to continue having a great career as well.
Woman power. I love it. Let's hear it.
Preconceptions. Is it because I am a
was Because I Am a Woman by ANGHARAD, and ANGHARAD is my guest here today. And you were just saying now that like all of that instrumentation on that track is live. It's in the room.
It's rhythm section live and then horns and strings afterwards, but all real all people. Amazing musicians.
Wow.
Like we brought together, like there's so much amazing talent in South Wales, like music talent, and Aidan, my friends, like called people in and we piled into his parents' attic. That's where it was recorded. You know, we didn't go to a fancy studio, but Sam Barnes recorded it us all. He's sound engineer, and it just sounds like I just couldn't believe it when it came back. It just sounded so much better than I possibly could have imagined.
Oh wow! So like, yeah, what was that moment when you released that first single? And obviously, I know you got loads of lovely comments back. You know, I have you on my personal Facebook, and
yes.
just friends and family were like, "We're so proud of you." But like, you know, did you expect to have that much positivity coming back your way?
Well, it's the best reaction I've ever had to anything I've released before. But I think that might be down to the genre. You know, before I played like quite hardcore Welsh trad fiddle music, which is quite a niche.
I mean, I like it.
But it is niche. So this is a bit more mainstream, I suppose. So I was hearing from people who probably, you know, obviously I've got all my muso friends who are really supportive and always interested in what I'm doing. But then people who are, you know, who just old friends from school who maybe not follow my music usually. It's
tapping into like a new fan base almost. It's mad, isn't it?
I need some tips now from you, Bronwen, to like develop it.
I just make it up as I go along. You know me, just like radio, just talk nonsense and hope for the best.
Yeah, get on TikTok. I haven't done TikTok
Oh,
yet.
that's it. I'll have to give you a little crackdown on a TikTok. Oh, it's a mad old world TikTok. But well, speaking about social media, you posted on your Instagram about the evolution of one of your songs, and it's called Postpartum. Unfortunately, it's not Sunday morning friendly, right?
No.
If you've heard it, you'll know what I mean. But it is so good. And you dug out the original voice note that you shared with your collaborator in the like initial stages of the song. Were you nervous about sharing those little voice notes? Sort of, is it just you singing into a phone?
It's just me and the phone and a metronome because when I send them to Aidan, who helps me with the arrangements, he likes to know the beats per minute. So I'm just saying these words: me, my phone, and a metronome. And yeah, I was nervous, but I think I always love knowing people's processes, creative processes, and where songs come from, you know. Where do they come from? If we knew, like, I'd be there all the time, like, you know, the hour and the inspiration, where does it come from? But I thought I love seeing those moments, you know. You're quite vulnerable, I suppose, to share those little things, but it makes it more real, I think, when you can see, like, the start of an idea and how it develops over time.
Totally. And you must like trust your producer deeply to sort of share your innermost thoughts, because postpartum is all about sort of like breastfeeding, early motherhood, and sort of what was his reaction and other people's reaction to these really quite hard-hitting lyrics.
Yeah, well, I mean, Aidan is a good friend of mine now, so I feel I can share anything with him, which is, like you said, that's like a good place to start. And do you know, one thing since becoming a mother, I just don't care anymore. I don't care what people think, you know, like, and maybe that's getting a bit older as well. I just like care a lot less, you know, and I think, you know, when you've given birth, your dignity's gone, isn't it? Like, so like, there's nothing else to lose, is it? So I just think, you know, a few words about breastfeeding and you know, how you feel. But I think that song is about like that loss of identity, you know, like I'm having a bit of an identity crisis, you know, like who am I? You know, when you have a baby, like I used to take her to groups and like no one talks to the mums anymore. No one talks to you. They ask what the baby's name is. They don't look at you. They're like, oh, isn't that a gorgeous baby? And
you're like a vessel for something else.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's quite negative.
No, it's true.
But as in you feel like you're living your life through another person.
I suppose is it? You've got a dog? Have you?
Well, I can't compare that.
Is it
to
a bit?
baby.
Like everyone talks to the dogs. You know, like
it's kind of the same. Especially if they're cute. Yeah, they look at Nancy before they look at me, and I'm like, excuse me, I am on the baby's hair.
It's the same. It's the same. So it's that loss of identity that I wanted to put into that song, and also I suppose musically, because I've had such a massive shift creatively. I'm like, who am I anymore? You know, I've lost who I am. You know, and like those months, you're just stuck on the sofa feeding. You know, it's just So
and you put it down on paper, and that's the thing. It doesn't have to be pretty in order to write about it. That's the thing. You need to write about all of human experience. As you know, I sent it to my mum, and I said, "Mum, listen to this." She's had 3 of us, and because I haven't had children yet, and she was like, this encapsulates how I feel. Like, amazing. And she's in her 50s, and she's like, it takes me back to being so exhausted. And it's just amazing how many people you connect to. But speaking of mums, actually, your mother is a very talented musician, and you're part of a duo, DNA. So your mum's called Delith, am I right?
It.
You're ANGHARAD, so DNA, and it's mother-daughter. I think that's the cleverest duo name ever. Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
So did your mum obviously inspire your musical abilities growing up?
Since becoming a mother, I've been reflecting a lot on my upbringing, and I feel so lucky to have had so much music and poetry and so much culture at home. So my mum's a harpist and a pianist. So obviously, she's shaped me a lot in terms of my folk music. You know, we'd have all sorts of music growing up. She play, I remember her playing, and she still does, Bach preludes to Warm Her Fingers up in the morning on the piano, and Scott Joplin. And then one of my earliest memories actually is going to sleep, like my parents saying "no start" to me, and then like as I would drift off, I could hear what I thought was like the sound of my dreams coming in, and I was just like, what? It took me many years to realise what that was, but once my mum had put me to sleep, that's when she would practice and play her harp. So
it's like what you're doing now when you put your babies to sleep. It's like a full circle.
It is, in a way. Yeah. So it's very dreamy. It was a bit strange. I thought, what is this sound? It's the harp. And my dad was a writer, so I think this is where the words are coming in a lot now. Like, he was musical but untrained, so he'd do like 12-bar blues on the piano and play harmonica and stuff. But I'm really enjoying expressing myself through words now, and I can feel his presence. He passed away in 2014, but I'm feeling his presence a lot now as I'm approaching words for the first time creatively. Wow. So it's, I just feel very lucky to have those two influences very present at the moment. And I'm determined to have a career and have children, because my mum, fair play to her, she had to take a back seat from her musical career when we were younger, just to raise me and my sister. It was a different time as well, different era. I think, if there's ever a time to be a creative mother in the music industry, I think we're heading in the right direction. It's good. But I don't want to take a back seat. I'm trying to bring the two to get my two lives together to make it work, because it's got to work, really.
Yeah. But I think you are. I think you are making it work. And speaking of making it work, you've got an album coming out very, very soon.
Yeah.
So by the end of the year, you've got an album coming out, and sort of, how many songs is going to be on it? Do you know the name of it?
I've known the name years ago.
Yeah.
It is called Motherland.
Love it. Like the TV show. I love that show.
I know. I didn't know about this show before naming it. But I had to cut songs. I wrote so much within 6 months. I've had to park some and come back to them. But it'll have 12 songs. It's going to be on vinyl.
Yay! Oh, well, I'm definitely coming to the launch whenever you have it.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely going to play some of the tracks on the show as well, because I just think, go girl, well done. I'm so proud of you. Well, I think we need to hear you in action now, don't we?
Right, yeah.
So if you make your way over to the mic, and we've got Eddie on keyboard. Hi Eddie, how are you? And this is an exclusive just for me. That's what I'm going to say anyway. It's just for me. It's brand new material no one else has heard before. What are you going to play for us, ANGHARAD? What's the name of the song?
I Don't Know How. And it's about aging and beauty and just being happy and accepting where you are on life's trajectory.
Amazing. Can't wait to hear it.
I don't know how did we get here? Where did time go? No one can tell us, we don't know. We don't know. Look at us now, wrinkles and grey hairs. Don't you feel old? Don't you feel cranky in your bones? In your bones. As I look in the mirror and study all the contours of my aging face, every line tells a story, every cell's been on a journey, and I don't seem to really mind it. Why don't we realize, why don't we notice? It's not on the outside, it's not on the surface, it's within our hearts and in our minds. It's not superficial, it's more than a picture, like a flower or sunset. You don't tend to judge it, you appreciate it for what it is. Study all the contours of my aging face. Every line tells a story, every cell's been on a journey, and I don't seem to really mind it. Mind it. I don't know how did we get here? Where did time go? No one can tell us.
Wow. Oh, that was so... Do you know what? I just closed my eyes then and just really went into the moment. Joni Mitchell, eat your heart out. I tell you what. That was I Don't Know How by ANGHARAD. And diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you so much for coming in today and chatting with me.
Oh, well, thank you. It's been a real pleasure.
We're old friends, but it's so lovely to see you just take on this new journey, and I'm so chuffed for you. And I can't wait to play more bits from the album. Amazing. Diolch yn fawr.
Diolch.